Hello and welcome to the second episode of the Yogi Collection. On this channel, I'll be curating many of my collections, whether they're new or old. I collect Lego, different scale die-cast. I'm just a lover of all things motorsports. So as your curator, I'll be going into depth on these cars, and some of these I'll go even further and give you some history of its motorsports pedigree. Thanks to Yogi Mama, we were able to divide and conquer. She would go to the Targets and I would go to the dollar stores to try to track down as many of these awesome cars. So with that, welcome to the show. But first, let's talk about food trucks. In my very first video, I talked about how I love these little miniature food trucks, and I've been on the hunt to find as many of these food trucks that I can get my hands on. And I have a few of them for you this week. Starting with the Fruit Brute. This one was found at Hobby Lobby, thanks to Yogi Mama, and I really like this one because the colors really pop. And if you know anything about this particular lineup, they've been around since 2011. It's part of their smoking grill sub-theme, and I've never seen these before, but I really like the construction. It's nice and heavy, and the interior is very well detailed. In fact, you can see a roll cage in there for the driver. These diecasts are not cheap either. I believe I paid over $13 for this at Hobby Lobby, but the weight of it and the metal bottom really sold it for me. Alright, next up is the sub-theme City, and from what I can find, this city theme or sub-theme was created in 2008. This particular one has two items in it that I like. This Reptile Rescue, I love the colors and the little scaly things, but really what I'm looking at is the taco truck. It is so cute. It's super tiny, but it's very well detailed. It has a chrome driver's seat, and if you look really close, you can see that the engine is right to its left. Not sure why there isn't a food counter, but nevertheless, it looks super cool. Next up from the Hot Wheels main lines is Sweet Rides, and this one here is called Quick Bites, and it's a hot chicken truck, and I really liked it because of the flames, obviously, and the flames coming out of the rooster is really cool. But wouldn't this car look great as a super treasure hunt with the Spectra flames and the Spectra green paint? Think about that, Mattel, and get back to me. Alright, now that that's out of the way, let's get to our first attraction. First up, the Porsche 928S Safari. The 928 was a luxury grand tourer produced by the Porsche Auto Group from 1978 to 1995. During my research of these cars, I came up with a new idea of how I could provide you this information without deep diving into each and every car that I curate. And this segment is going to be called Nerd Alert! Yeah, that's right, Nerd Alert. In this segment, I'll cover all of the deep information on the car, about its motorsports history, things like that. So let's get started with this Porsche 928. The term safari in automotive parlance usually refers to rally racing, specifically the East African Safari Rally, one of the most famous and arduous rally races. Hot Wheels often creates both realistic replicas of production cars, as well as fantasy versions with modifications, like the quote-unquote Safari style, which is not a factory model from Porsche, but rather an imaginative take on what a rally version of the 928S might look like. I think it looks pretty cool. Alright, sticking with motorsports, the Aston Martin GTE is a real car, and it's featured in the Hot Wheels Car Culture series under the Race Day category, which features cars with authentic decos and details inspired by real-life racing vehicles. Real-life racing vehicles, you say? Uh-oh, incoming. Nerd Alert! The 95 number is authentic to the Vantage GTE Dane Train car, driven by a Danish trio, and they're particularly noted for their participation in events like the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The real Aston Martin GTE has achieved notable success, including class wins at Le Mans and other endurance races. The Hot Wheels version of the Aston Martin Vantage GTE is thus a tribute to the car's competitive pedigree and its distinctive presence in the world of endurance racing. Like other cars in the car culture line, this model features premium detailing and real rider tires, which are rubber tires that are more realistic than the standard plastic tires found on mainline Hot Wheels. Okay, I think I'm going to leave my nerd cap on for the next few cars, because I think there's quite a bit of information here that you should know. Next up, the Ford Capri GR5. The Ford Capri GR5 cars were known for their wide wheel arches, large rear wings, and powerful engines that made them competitive in the Group 5 racing class. Group 5 racing is a category of sports car racing that was popular in the 1970s and early 1980s. The livery features the iconic blue and white colors associated with Ford Motorsports and carries the Ford logo along with Team Ford. Alright, next, the Audi R8 LMS is a real race car used in customer racing, such as the GT3 category. However, the number 5 is significant because it's often used by Hot Wheels as part of their fantasy liveries and may not correspond to a specific car's history in racing. I personally couldn't find much about this car in actual life. Alright, let's get back to rally racing and switch over to the Matchbox series. This car is part of the Matchbox Collection series, a premium line celebrating detailed models and the brand's heritage. The Datsun 510 was indeed used in rallying, known for its success in the 1970s, particularly in the under 2.5 liter category in the Trans Am series. Historically speaking, the Datsun 510 is celebrated for its affordability, reliability, and tunability, which made it a popular choice for rally and road racing. If you haven't seen a rally race during that time, Google it. And whenever I see a name on the side of the car, I want to know more about it. And in particular, this car, the name you can see there is Jay Yanauskas, and he played a role in Datsun's American racing history, particularly in the SCCA, or Sports Car Club of America races. It's common for toy model car manufacturers like Matchbox to include the names of drivers on their liveries to add authenticity and pay tribute to the individuals who race those cars in real life. Okay, here's an interesting one. A Johnny Lightning Indy car in an Auto World packaging. Now you might think that doesn't make any sense, but in reality it should, because they're both owned by a single company called Round 2 LLC. They acquired the rights to produce Johnny Lightning models as well as Auto World models and others, but they operate their brands independently, so you might see them overlap in tributes like this. Now, in the motorsports, the name Johnny Lightning is famously associated with the Indianapolis 500. In 1970 and 1971, Al Unser drove the Johnny Lightning Special, this striking blue and yellow Colt Ford race car, to victory in the Indy 500. The car and its livery became iconic, with the Johnny Lightning bolt symbolizing speed and success on the racetrack. Alright, at the end of our nerd alert, the 2023 Chevy Camaro funny car, driven by Bruce Larson, and was a significant part of the Coca-Cola Cavalcade of Stars, which is a promotional drag racing series in the 1970s. It was among the first to introduce the idea of a national drag racing series featuring professional drivers. Alright, let me know what you guys think of this nerd alert segment. Personally, I think it's a great way to learn about motorsports and why Hot Wheels and other brands makes these cars to begin with. Moving on. Alright, next up is the 1963 Ford Econoline delivery van with the Edelbrock livery. Edelbrock is a highly respected American company that manufactures aftermarket performance parts, and the livery on the van celebrates this brand for 85 years. M2 Machines' products are often considered more premium with the diecast community due to their limited production runs and the higher level of detail compared to standard mainline releases from other brands. Now, what sold me on the car was the lowered stance and the rubber Goodyear tires. This whole thing just screams awesome, and I love it. What I also love about it is Yogi Mama picked it out, so thanks, babe. Unfortunately, from a playability standpoint, the wheels don't roll all that well, so this really needs to stay in the case and be admired from afar. Do you remember the 80s? Do you remember how ugly the cars were back then? Well, this 82 Cadillac Seville is no exception. However, I really love the two-tone paint and the chromed accents, and what is not to love about that red interior? This thing just screams 1980s, and I'm happy to add it to my collection of 80s vehicles. By the way, if you like content like this, it goes a long way if you were to hit that like button, and if you like it enough to subscribe, I would be honored by that. So please take the time to like and subscribe. Let's move on. This 1933 Diamond Doodlebug casting has been around for a while, And the pop culture line has also been around since 2011. And this particular one has the Union 76 livery on it. Union 76 is historically linked to motor racing, having been a longtime sponsor of various motorsports events, including the NASCAR series. Alright, next up is the BMW 507 Roadster. This one's a highly coveted model in its full-scale size because there wasn't very many made. The BMW 507 was produced in the late 1950s and is renowned for its stylish designs and rarity. Only 252 units were made, making it one of the most rare and valuable BMWs in the collector car market. It was also driven by famous individuals like Elvis Presley during his time in Germany. And the average price for a real-sized model of this car, are you sitting down? $2 million. That's just the start. So yeah, very expensive. New for the Hot Wheels 2022 mainline is this Porsche 935. As you know, and if you don't know, you're about to know that Porsche is my favorite brand when it comes to sports cars and motorsports. Oh, why did I open this one? I have it already. Oh, shit. Oh, great. The Porsche 935 is famous for its domination in endurance racing in the late 1970s and early 1980s, including multiple wins at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. This car is legendary.
It's gonna be legend, wait for it, dairy.
From the factory fresh mainline theme, the Lotus Emira. This one's special for many reasons. In particular, this one was announced to be the last petrol-powered car made from Lotus. So think about that. The Emira introduces new design languages for Lotus, incorporating features from their electric hypercar, the Evija, signaling a new era for the brand. The power unit on this one can either be a 4-cylinder turbocharged or an AMG supercharged V6. This next one doesn't need much of an introduction now, does it? And this is the 2JZ Toyota Supra, driven in the Fast and Furious movies, and I had to have it. I did not have one in my collection, and now I do. It's not the greatest of quality, mind you, it's the mainline, but again, its popularity is why it needs to be added to any collection. I wanted to take this moment to give this Shelby Mustang an honorable mention because look at this paint job. Even though it's a mainline, you can tell right away that they did a great job on the paint and the color. It even looks like a Spectra flame color, but it's still just a plain old mainline, however, super awesome. 1978 Dodge Monaco, 70s and 80s ugly cars, but this one's a cop car, so I had to have it. It's ugly green. They used to call this color avocado green, if I remember correctly, so it deserves a spot in my lineup. Police and first responder vehicles are super awesome, and everyone should have some in their collection. Did you guys see my National Parks ambulance short? If not, click the link above and you can check it out. Wagons, wagons, wagons. Who does not love wagons? And right now, wagons are really hot in the Hot Wheels lineup, especially that Volvo and Datsun Super Treasure Hunt. Those things are awesome. But this one's a Mercedes W123, made around the 1980s. And this one here is a service vehicle, which, again, falls into that first responders, emergency vehicles. Love these cars. I actually own a W124 wagon, and I featured it on my YouTube channel, Yogi's Garage. Be sure to check it out. All right, it's that time again, folks. It's time to rate my favorite from last to first. Here we go. Coming in at last place is the Porsche 928S. This was mainly because of the lack of detail with the painting. All in all, it's a pretty basic model. For the same exact reasons, the BMW Roadster's coming in at 14th place. Although a striking car in real life, this car could not make it out of the bottom due to the stiff competition from the rest of the lineup. Toyota Supra bringing it up. Those headlight painting jobs look a little silly, that's why it's so low in my ratings. The Cadillac Seville bringing some memories back for me. The 80s were rough. And in 10th place, the legend, Wait for it, Dairy Porsche 938. Super Slam Ford utility van. Had some really great detail, and I absolutely love those Goodyear tires. That's why it's number 9. Number 8 is the avocado green police car. I swear that color's gonna come back someday. W123 Mercedes-Benz wagon. Love the wagons. The next 3 are coming from the Hot Wheels Race Day Premium lineup, Aston Martin GTE, the Ford, and the R8 from Audi. Big and heavy and super unique is why this guy ranked so high. Alright, the top 3. Coming in third place is the 2023 Chevy Camaro Funny Car USA 1 Tribute. Number 2 is the Datsun 510 Genuine Rally Car. And number 1 is the 2013 IndyCar Johnny Lightning Special number 1 Tribute. And as an added bonus, here is this kit in the Ultra Red. Alright guys, that's going to do it for this video. I really appreciate you checking it out, and if you like what you saw, be sure to hit that thumbs up button and hit subscribe if you're not a subscriber. The Yogi collection is now closed.
Nerd alert!